What's going on, Packers fans? Welcome into an all-new episode of the Pack-A-Day Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. You can find the podcast at Pack-A-Day Podcast. In just a moment, we're going to be joined by Justis Mosqueda. We nerd out for over an hour on all things Green Bay Packers, as you can imagine. Stick around for that, especially the ending where we get into detail on the J.J. McCarthy experience so far, which has not been great for Minnesota. So stick around for that real quick before we get there. Injury reports for both teams. Minnesota did not practice, so these are all estimated. Christian Darrisaw, Aaron Jones, and Ryan Kelly were full participants, or at least would have been for Minnesota. Will Fries and Jonathan Grenard would not have practiced. Those are two big-time players, their starting guard and their starting defensive end. So keep an eye on those two throughout the course of the week. For Green Bay, Jordan Love and Brandon McManus were full participants. Make of the McManus thing what you will. The whole kicking situation is so damn weird, but great to see Jordan Love and I guess Brandon McManus too as full participants on Wednesday. Limited were Javon Bullard, Edgerrin Cooper, Romeo Doubs, Matthew Golden, Keyshawn Nixon, Micah Parsons, Zach Tom, LVN, Christian Watson, and Dontavian Wicks, just 10 players limited, as well as 5 who did not practice, including Carl Brooks, Nate Hobbs, Josh Jacobs, Quay Walker, and Savion Williams. Meanwhile, no players returned to practice from IR, meaning Jaden Reed remained on injured reserve, did not open that 21-day window. And then Marshawn Lloyd, Brenton Cox, and Colin Oliver all stayed on their respective injury lists as well. So no returns. We'll have to see on Thursday if we get any better news, any upgrades, any players returning from injury, etc. But that was your injury report for Wednesday. Before we get to our main event with Justis Mosqueda, just a reminder, get your Luigi's frozen pizzas. You're going to need to stack up on those victory pizzas all season long. This week, we're talking about the Luigi's Gourmet Original Deluxe Pizza. Wisconsin mozzarella, which is my favorite. Italian sausage and pepperoni. They are perfectly seasoned. Mushrooms, green peppers, onions, black olives. This thing has everything. Made in Wisconsin. Tons and tons of toppings. Crisp, crunchy, satisfying. These things are absolutely delicious. Check out all of the brands of Luigi's Pizza. My recommendation, just get one of each and go through and find which one is your favorite. You're going to have a tough time deciding. I know I have, because they're all insanely delicious. But get your Luigi's Victory Pizzas wherever you can get Luigi's Pizza. Check out luigispizza.com to find the location nearest you. And of course, follow them on social media at Luigi's Pizza. Also, today, it's your last chance. Alchemy Wealth Management. Go to retirewithryan.net, set up that free consultation. This is the last time. Do not miss out on the opportunity. Alchemy Wealth Management, retirewithryan.net, set up that consultation with Ryan Nelson, and he's going to get your financial future set. Even after listening to me, you've been probably putting it off. Do it now. This offer is going away. So check it out now. Again, retirewithryan.net. Grades will be up later in the day on Thursday, as will the grades video. So keep an eye out. If you haven't checked yet, that little box yet on YouTube, so you're getting notifications every time a new video comes out. We're doing 2-a-days, a lot of these now. So make sure those notifications are turned on, but grades will be up later in the day on Thursday. And for now, enjoy the show with the one and only Justis Mosqueda. All right, it is time. The one and only Justis Mosqueda. You can find him on social media at JUMOSQ, acmepackingcompany.com. Nobody does it better. Justis, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm swell. It is a busy time of year. We not only do we have crazy like holiday season plus Packer season, we have a ton of birthdays between basically end of October and beginning of January. Plus, we've got a bunch of friend stuff. So it just gets very, very hectic, Justis.
My birthday's on Thanksgiving week, so it always like rotates, whether it's on or off on Thanksgiving and stuff like that. And people are asking me like, what do you want? I'm like, Doug, I am about to be 32 years old. I don't need more stuff. You see all this crap I got back here? You think I bought any of this? No.
Come take some of this stuff away. Come take that.
No, I need less stuff. Just take me out to a beer or something like that. Show your face to me.
Here's the big question. Where are we at on the family understanding of there's a Packer game on Thanksgiving and you cover?
Fully aware.
Okay. All right.
We're fully aware. They're fully aware, and no, it's all good. Yeah, all that stuff. I think because we're going. So Addie's sister just had a kid. I think I brought this up on this before. So we're going out for like a full like week and a half because she's coming up from the Bay.
Nice.
And we're going to her parents' house, and we're just going to post up there. I work from home anyway, right? So doesn't change my stuff at all. But yeah, there's going to be an overlapping like post baby shower type or baby review. I don't know what the heck they're calling it type of thing that's going on at the same time as this Packers Vikings game. And I was like, folks, I will. So it goes from like 2 to like 5. And I'm like, I'm going to be dead until 3. After
Yep.
3, you can have me, but I'm going to be dead until 3.
I know those conversations slash feelings very, very well.
The give and take.
That's why I had to double check, make sure we're good for Thanksgiving watching Packers Lions. It's a big one. It's a big one. We'll get to there next week as well. Let's talk a little bit about Packers Giants. Obviously, a lot of people have had the opportunity to touch base on it quite a bit already, but just kind of key takeaways from this past week. They got to win, Justice. They got to win.
They got to win. They did better in some aspects than I thought, and they did worse in some aspects than I thought. I honestly thought they would have run the ball better. Obviously, when Josh Jacobs goes down, things can change quickly. It certainly could have been a lot worse with a backup running back in there. I think Emmanuel Wilson had I think it was like 35 snaps to 5 snaps with Chris Brooks. So it was all Emmanuel Wilson once Josh Jacobs went out, basically. They did the thing that we talked about in the passing game. We talked about it. They couldn't throw outside short because they couldn't get yak yards. They couldn't throw over the ball because the Eagles were tipping passes. And we're trying to stop the over the ball stuff, which, by the way, if you guys watched Eagles Lions, Eagles didn't just do that for us. They did a pretty good job of it against Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions too. We couldn't throw deep for the most part, throughout the season because teams are playing deep zones. We couldn't throw intermediate because the intermediate guys are bailing just like the deep zone guys are. So we had to attack the intermediate outside. And that wasn't really in Matt's DNA, and he switched it up this week. And if you look at the Jordan Love passing chart, that's exactly what they did. And they did some really interesting stuff to get into those looks. So it was something around like 18% of the plays. They lined up a running back or a tight end as an outside receiver, which is like double the rate of what they've done previously this year. Usually they only do that in like empty looks, right?
Yep.
To get like, Romeo in the slot or something like that. But they were doing it out of kind of like standard looks. I mean, damn near 1 out of 5 plays in this game. And they were doing it specifically to get guys like Romeo, guys like Christian Watson in the slot and to be able to run those intermediate routes. And then you just have a tight end or a running back running those kind of runoff routes to just kind of, exhaust someone in zone coverage, if that kind of makes any sense. Now you got to come down with those catches, right? That was a big problem in this game. Not necessarily just on the sideline, but over the middle too. But they definitely switched up their tendencies and stuff. I'm more optimistic about their passing game moving forward. Again, I think even though the stats aren't the best, I think Love has played really good football over the last 3 weeks. I know people push back on me on the Eagles thing. I think if you watch the all 22, your mind kind of changes a little bit on that one. Yeah. I am still worried about the run game, though. I know Aaron Banks got like the best grade ever, for what he did in the run game this week. But that Giants line was not good. And I was expecting a little bit more. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Vikings this week.
What did you think specifically on offense? First of all, what did you think of the offensive line this week? I thought, again, I think you have to take into consideration it's the Giants' defensive line from a run stopping standpoint. Yeah. Sean Ryan got nuked a couple times by Dexter Lawrence, which is apt to happen when you're going against Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah.
But I thought overall there were a couple signs this week of and again, maybe it's just Giants, but it looked a little bit more cohesive, a little bit better to me this week than it has in some other weeks. But again, maybe opponent goes into that.
Yeah, for sure. I think there was still a little bit of pressure. Like they were turning some guys loose a little bit sometimes.
It's a problem.
And yeah, the thing that I'm worried the most about now on the offensive line, to tell you the truth, is the Sean Ryan snaps, because a lot of this was explained away as the wind impacting shotgun snaps and stuff. Is that a first for you? Because that's a first for me. I don't think
I've never heard wind for shotgun snaps before. Yeah, I've never heard that.
As someone who's like where I grew up, again, like mountains in Oregon from glacier runoffs, right? Like I'm just like in a valley, a massive valley, right? It's just a giant
wind tunnel.
Yeah, it's just a giant wind tunnel. I played center there in a shotgun offense. I don't know if that would have flown for me. in high school.
Sorry, coach. Sorry, it hit his ankle. Wind was bad today.
Yeah, so like I think Orzic having the funky snap, and then I guess two funky snaps. One of them just went high. And then the kicker, both kickers not having a great day, kind of helped build this narrative of like so windy, so windy, so windy. And I'm like, I'm
If
perceiving
that's the
you.
case, then we need to give Jordan Love even a better grade, and James Winston for that matter. If we can't get it to the quarterback off the shotgun, but we're completing 30+ yard passes down the field, then his grade even needs to go up even further this week, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not hitting the red button. I'm not hitting danger, but I am on alert. I'm on alert for Sean Ryan might not be able to snap these footballs because we haven't really seen him in that much action at center outside of practices, and I think a little bit in the preseason. But I don't think he did it in college. He was a tackle in college.
Yeah, no, for sure. He was a tackle in college.
Yeah.
Tackle, yeah. Guess we're just gonna have to go more under center, Justice. More under center offense. That's the only solution. Maybe they can go pistol. Maybe you can get it there in the wind if you go pistol. Maybe that's enough distance away.
I mean, if you want to talk about this Vikings game a little bit, I think they're going to try to run on early downs because I don't think they want to see those mug fronts. And the mug fronts with the two linebackers walked up in the A gaps and all that stuff. And Minnesota's defense hasn't been the same this year, but like that doesn't mean that they can't catch on fire in any individual game, right? Like,
yeah.
As long as Flores is still calling plays, I still believe that those guys are going to be able to do it, right? So I think they're going to try to keep it, third and manageable, all that stuff, and people will probably get mad about that, but I think that's kind of the way that you want to play against this Vikings team. I think one of the interesting things, too, is like you want to know how to stop the mug front stuff? You run at it.
Yeah.
If they're going to have Eric Wilson's going to be playing in this game, lining up in the A-gap.
Yeah.
And he's got, Aaron Banks has got 100 pounds on him, and he doesn't even have to climb up, do anything.
He's right there.
It's right there. I have 100-pound advantage on you right there. So we should be able, I'm sure Matt's going to give us a little bit more, third and long, second and long runs in this game than you would against a normal team, right? I also think, we kind of thought about this the same way with like the Cleveland Browns, where it's like they're going to be this hyper aggressive team, all this stuff. The Browns really didn't do that. So like, I don't know, maybe we get a completely different look from Minnesota. They have a 1 week defense just for the Green Bay Packers because they don't trust our run game. But if they are still that hyper aggressive team and stuff, I think this team is going to want to pound the rock. I think that's what we're going to want to do. Because the other answer is like, okay, they're, rolling safeties. They're trying to hold the skies, all that stuff. You're putting all these guys at the line of scrimmage. What do? You throw screens. We're not getting yak right now. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that's what you want to live in is the screens. We'll see where Golden's at, but he could be maybe somebody that gives you some run after the catch. They didn't even throw him the ball in practice today. He was limited that much. So that's something to be concerned about. We'll get to this maybe a little bit too. We can meander around all over the place like we usually do, so it doesn't really matter of order of operations here. But I am curious from like a Packers standpoint if they would almost welcome anything other than the soft defense cover two at this point. Like Flores, bring your stuff. We're looking forward to seeing anything besides what we've seen for 8 weeks straight, or if they almost are hoping that they just do the same teams that are like, I think it could almost be a nice change of pace for Green Bay. And like Matt's had good stuff for Brian in the past, but yeah, it's going to be interesting.
No, for sure. And I mean, when they get those opportunities, they take shots, right? Like even, man, what was it? Our last offensive drive? Run, shot play,
deep shot. Yeah, that was the 3 and out. That was the 3 and out for sure. Had that.
Yeah, which I know that there's fans that are like, "Why are you trying to gain 40 yards on a play where you only need to move 2 yards to move the chains?" And it's like, because that's the only way that this team is going to avoid having to convert like 5 third downs to have a scoring drive, right?
Yep.
I think if you're going to call a shot there, you have to be willing to go for it on 4th down. I think that's the way it makes sense to me. And I know, it would have been 4th and 2, and some people will say 4th and 2, go for it every single time. And then some people will say the field position, you're giving them in a real good spot. So I don't know what you want the answer there, But I think if you're going to take the shot, you got to be willing to go for it on fourth in that spot.
Yeah.
But
or
those
convert it.
those
Convert it would be nice.
yeah. The third and shorts are really like the only times that they're getting singled up, and people are stacking the box and all that stuff. So like, I don't blame them for taking shots in those situations.
You got
really
to at some point. You have to at some point. You want the advantageous look. Absolutely.
So
yeah.
That's the world we're living in. So if we could get those on first downs, because the Vikings are blitzing and doing all this funky stuff. Yeah, I'm sure Matt will just like long exhale and just be like, damn, okay. It's not just covered. I'm not playing Tampa 2 over and over and over again.
My favorite thing is like everyone will get on Matt for just, hey, well, you have no spine, you have no backbone, like stay aggressive. Like we need to stay aggressive even when you're winning the game. And then like 3rd and 2 deep shot. It's like, why are you being so aggressive? Just pick up the first down. Why are you going down the field? It's like, do you want him to go for the kill or do you not want him to go for the kill? Like which one? You just want the play to work. You just want the play to work is what you want.
I get it. Yeah. I mean, it does kind of, that's why I think you, especially in that situation, you had to have been okay with going for it on 4th down because your defense needed a rest. I mean, they had just played like 30 snaps.
Where were we at that point? Where it was on?
We were at like the 25. It was not a good spot. It was somewhere in that area.
You had to basically punt at that point for the most part.
You could have. You could have.
Yeah, I guess suppose.
Yeah, but yeah.
It'd be I will always, if you get. I didn't think they got the most advantageous look in that situation. Or at least I don't know. Was that the golden one? Maybe that was the golden one that he was like almost. One. Oh, you're right. Yeah. I don't know. Those are always difficult decisions. And I'm always for, hey, if you get the one-on-one look on the outside and it's the look that you want, go for it. Take the shot. And I'm totally cool with it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I want to ask about your guy, Mr. Strong Hands, Romeo Doubs.
It's always funny when people figure out that it's like semi out of sarcasm, the strong hands.
I know. I'm aware.
No, I know you're aware, but people learn every week and they're like come to the realization. They're like, oh, it's because he makes difficult catches and then also drops like some pretty easy balls.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, because people say he has good hands, but I'm like, strong hands is probably a better way to say it. Good hands is not how I would describe it. It's very volatile. No matter what the type of pass is. Extremely
volatile. Something just feels a little bit off. He had some good plays in this game. I liked his block on the touchdown run by Wilson, or at least he got in the way in that play. Just the last few weeks, I haven't been super enamored, not just with the drops, but even with some of the route running stuff, just hasn't seemed quite as crisp for Romeo. They got to, like, especially with Reed out, with Kraft out. I know Watson's back and cooking a little bit, but they need him to convert those plays. I would count it as 3 drops in this game for Romeo. That was a tough showing.
And he's had these over the last couple, like what Carolina, he had one that was arguably could have been a touchdown, right?
Yep.
He's had some that have cost him. The Eagles game, the Packers had a bunch of drops over the middle of the field too. So yeah, I mean, that was kind of my point when I was talking about like the Eagles game, and people were like, "What do you mean Jordan Love played well?" I'm like, "Well, sometimes the only route that's open has defenders that have their hands up like this in between them, and then the other times you go through his incompletion reel, and you're like, that's a drop. Like half of these are drops. So yeah, it's not been great. Firmly on not worried about Jordan Love. He is like one of 3 players that I'm not worried about at this point. It's like him, Micah, and Daniel Whelan. But outside of that, yeah, guys
one on each unit. That's what you want. Star on offense, defense, and special teams. You're all set.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we need, right?
I think so. I think so.
You sound like the Packers board hiring coaches. We got one coach on defense that we pay, one coach on special teams that we pay, one coach on offense. We're good, right?
We're good to go.
All we need.
That's all you need. What more could you possibly want? Yeah, they need more from Romeo. It's been a little bit of a struggle. He's got it has not been a great year for Packers in contract years, like I was kind of hoping for. Rashid has not been great. Sean Ryan has not been great. Romeo has not been great. Quay's been mostly okay. I don't think he's had like a complete like breakout year though by any stretch of the imagination. Who am I missing? I feel like there's a couple more. Well, Elton's like was basically in like a contract year, even though he wasn't. He was not great, and then he got hurt. Yeah, for some of these players that I'm like, we're going to get the best versions of them because they're in contract years. Hasn't exactly worked out that way.
Did you see the Silverstein report of all the expected
I did.
contracts?
I have it bookmarked. I've not had the chance to read it.
It's pretty interesting. So it was a lot of stuff that I brought up in the past.
Okay.
So like the Dobbs market value is around Khalil Shakur, which is
makes
like
total sense. Yep.
13 million a year. Malik Willis, it was like minimum 5 million up to 8 million, which is kind of what backup quarterbacks are now.
Yep.
Tyson Bagent got 5 million. He has thrown 6 passes over the last 2 years. If he can get 5, anyone with a pulse is going to get 5 moving forward. Rasheed Walker, they didn't go all the way up to 20 million, but it was right on the warning stripe of 20 million, which is what Dan Moore got. Quay Walker, they said the market value is going to be like 13 to 15, which makes sense because every linebacker last year who was a second contract guy got 15. I think that they're going to get that done eventually. I don't know why we turned down the 5th-year option when it was less than 15, when he's probably going to get 15. Sean Ryan, the sources for Spoons just kind of threw their hands up and were like, could be 3 if he sucks, could be 8 if he doesn't suck, the second half of the year. So I don't know how to project that one. And then he didn't bring up Enigbare, but Enigbare will get enough to be a comp pick. So like Eric Wilson, I think signed for like 2.5, and that qualifies the Packers for a comp pick in the 7th round right now. So that should be part of the formula. So if they bring back Quay, which I think that they'll do, then they'll have 5 comp picks. They can only get 4 of them. So you could theoretically bring back Quay, bring back Sean Ryan, and then you're at 4 comp picks. And by the way, spoilers, folks, I don't think the Packers are touching free agency this year because they're not going to try to offset those. They're not going to try to offset those compensatory
unless they get 5 and sign a,
yes, minimum, if they get 5, they could sign like a guy who's worth like 2.5 million without offsetting like a 6 that you would get for like Sean Ryan or something like that.
Yeah. Or if they're not worried about offsetting a 4 and they'll just take a 7th and instead, but they
should be worried about offsetting the 4 when you're down 2 first and they're down to 7th next year too, or in 2027 too for the Kennard trade.
I think the Packers, again, they're not going to have a ton. Well, I don't know. I think they might get creative with opening up space, but if so, keep an eye on players who are released, not actual unrestricted free agents.
Yeah, I would look at trades too, because like if they trade Gary, I bet they use that cap space, not in free agency. They would use it to extend Wyatt, who's going to be like an obstacle for them this year, right? Because he's going to get that 15 million, but it's all going to hit on this year's cap. So if you want to sign him to a multi-year deal, you'll do it this offseason. Kraft, they're going to want to get him done. So like those are both going to cost money. And then, really, not to get too deep into the cap stuff right now, but really the way that you guys got to think about this from a Packers team, because I think some Packers fans think like all in is all in perpetuity. No.
Yep.
There's going to like I said, it's going to be like an even odd year type of thing. Almost. It's going to be in odd years, we're adding players. In even years, we're losing players and getting comp picks. And that's just sort of how it's going to work. So this upcoming offseason is going to be more about getting your house in order, making sure you have the contracts that you want for 2027 locked in, so that if guys, you don't want a Tucker Kraft leaving in free agency and getting a 4th round comp pick, because you're probably going to have a little bit of money to play around and you're going to offset that thing. So you're going to lose Tucker Kraft for nothing, right?
Yep.
It's sort of the way that the Philadelphia Eagles do everything, where they're like, okay, in years where we're not trying to add anything in free agency and we're losing players, we need to be in the trade market instead of being in the free agency market. So I think that's what it's going to end up looking like for the Packers.
And Eagles have gone very aggressive did go very aggressive in the trade market this offseason, and then value free agents, things like that. And
they get those picks because they don't enter free agency.
Yep.
Because they lose Milton Williams, right? They're like, okay, we're okay with losing Milton Williams and getting the pick because we're going to turn that pick into a veteran later down the line.
They basically turned it into Jalen Phillips because they traded a third for Jalen Phillips. They're going to get a third comp for Milton Williams. So
but if you blow your load in free agency and you try to make it up in free agency, all you're doing is canceling out comp picks, and your level of talent isn't doing anything. So
no, for sure. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Green Bay handles that. Just going to offense for just a moment. What do you do at tight end? What's your tight end solution moving forward?
Dude, I don't know, because I got the snaps at the end of the first half, and then I got the snaps at the end of the second half, and I was like, oh crap, Luke Musgrave only played 2 snaps.
It felt like he got benched.
Yeah. And then Matt comes out and is like, yeah, I already told the staff, like, we got to fix that. He's got to be playing more. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it sure seemed like when you guys wanted to run the ball and do play action stuff, like you guys wanted Wiley and John Fitzpatrick and even Darian Kennard in there and not Musgrave. Do you need to?
Nope.
Do you need to? Or are you just trying to like justify this stuff? That's the problem, man. Like sometimes one of the best things about Matt early on, I thought, was him just riding the hot hand and being like, oh, Tyler Ervin can do some like weird stuff. Let's ride this Tyler Ervin thing until it like stops working.
Yep.
I have not seen a reason why Musgrave is the hot hand over the last 2 years, right? Like, I don't understand where this momentum is coming from. And like, that's one of the reasons why I'm worried that like Nate Hobbs could get healthy and then like Carrington Valentine is benched again. And it's like, he's clearly our best coverage corner. He's been our best coverage corner for 3 years. And we're just doing this in perpetuity just because this other guy was a high investment. And we imagine him one day being better than this guy instead of just playing the guy who is better this very second.
Yeah. That there's every once in a while, there's something in like the press conference that like I'll be doing something. And then like all of a sudden I'm sorry, what did you say? Like you feel like you have to play Luke Musgrave more based on what exactly? I didn't understand that one. I don't mind it being like, if you want to do a rotation or whatever, but it felt like for the first
certain spot, there's for sure things that Musgrave does better than John Fitzpatrick. No doubt. Correct. But lining up as an inline tight end, like they're doing most of the time, is not
one of them.
Yeah, that's not it.
And it's certainly not throwing to him in the flat. If you're going to do any of the throwing him into the flat stuff, just get rid of that entirely.
I mean, Wiley's good at it. I mean, Wiley's got movement skills and stuff. Like,
use him. I joked with Mike Wall this week. I'm like, can you build a modern offense without a tight end? Can you just go 6th offensive line? Can you go do some run and shoot stuff? Can you build this thing without a tight end? Can you make it work somehow? I'm still brain shot. We're workshopping that. What's that?
Not this offense.
No, not this offense.
Not this offense. Nuh-uh.
It's going to take quite the evolution in order for something like that to happen. Anything else on offense before we kick over to defense?
No, I thought it was interesting that they said today Belton has been kicking inside in some of these practices. That's something.
Thank you. I meant to bring that up.
So, I wouldn't hate it. Honestly, I wouldn't. Like, if you want to bench Morgan, I'm cool with that. Because like the narrative coming into training camp, do you remember, was Morgan and Rashid are going to rotate at left tackle. It was never Morgan is going to rotate at right guard throughout the season. Like, that's never what this was supposed to be.
And they're very clearly open to competition and rotations. So rotate Belton and Morgan, even if it's like 80-20, even if it's 80-20 for Morgan, like get Belton in for 15 snaps and just see what that looks like at right guard. Feel it out. Why not? Why the hell not?
Yeah. I mean, unless you don't think that he can handle it or something like that. But again, ultimately, I think Morgan is going to end up playing outside in 26 and Belton's going to end up playing inside in 26. So
Can both of them be backups in 26? Is that an option that could happen?
Where are we getting draft picks, man?
I don't know.
Where are we getting draft picks? We got two in
I'm
like
sure
the top.
Rashan Gary's going to get a big haul. Rashan Gary trade is going to be massive. Maybe you can
maybe, but do you remember the report on what the highest pick that the Bengals were offered for the Trey Hendrickson trade at the deadline?
No, what was it? A 4? That's wild.
Because you're trading for the contract too, and he's an agent player. And Gary's going to be in the same spot.
No, for sure. I don't expect. I said it starts at day 3 when anyone talked about a Gary trade. I don't think it's anything above that.
Maybe a third, maybe if you do it early enough in the offseason and people can get their ducks in order and all that. You know what,
though? I will say this. Rashan Gary has been very good at run defense. I know a certain owner that loves defenders who are really good at run defense. So I'm just saying, maybe there's something there. Hey friends, time to get our sleeper picks in for week 12. I'm going with a Sunday matchup that has a lot of implications in the AFC, Indianapolis and Kansas City. Let's kick it off right away. Travis Kelce, fewer than 49.5 receiving yards. He's been pretty good as of late, but I think Indianapolis is going to keep him in check. Patrick Mahomes, fewer than 271.5 passing yards. It's a lot of yards in the modern NFL. I know the Colts defense has been a little bit up and down, but I think they hold Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce in check. And then on the flip side, Jonathan Taylor, this is a must win for Kansas City. They have to find a way to beat Indianapolis, and I think they'll do that by keeping Jonathan Taylor in check. So Travis Kelce, fewer than 49.5 receiving yards. Patrick Mahomes, fewer than 271.5 passing yards. And Jonathan Taylor, fewer than 88.5 rushing yards. Make sure that you get your picks in over at Sleeper. Plus, right now, you can get a 100% match up to $100 by utilizing code PACKET-A. Yes, a 100% match up to $100 by utilizing code PACKET-A. Terms and conditions apply. Check out Sleeper for details. Available in over 25 states nationwide. So what are you waiting for? Get your picks in right now.
Go for it. Yeah, Jerry.
Jerry's got a lot of Jerry's got some Packers first round picks. There are at least one still left to play around with. So
I think he's a little short on picks now too, though, right? With the
I think so.
Trade and
we got to start getting the word out there that Rashan's amazing at run defense, just the best run defensive end in all football. Jerry Jones, if you're listening, he's amazing.
No one show him the clip of Jalen Hurts just running around.
Yeah, we don't yet.
Rashan Gary.
Nothing to see there. Speaking of Rashan Gary, you posted some of the quick pressure rate stuff. It's not great. Not great for Rashan Gary.
Yeah, and I see people getting really nitpicky about like what quick pressure is and why we should care about it. Here's why you should care about it. Jameis Winston, who's known as like I hold the ball, I throw the ball deep guy against us, had a time to throw of 2.5 seconds in this last game. Quick pressures are measured 3 seconds or less. Why do I care about pressures that you create 4 seconds into a play?
Yeah.
We know these guys at the combine cover 40 yards in 4 seconds, right?
Yep.
So I don't really care if Micah Parsons is creating pressure and then 6 other guys get credit for pressures that he initiated because the quarterback had to step up and was off his time. I want to know who's impacting a quarterback. And that's what these quick pressures measure. As far as quick pressure rate goes, basically Gary had one great year, and that year, unfortunately, was his contract year. Now, obviously, like the injury, all that stuff comes into play with all that stuff too. But there is no one who has fewer quick pressures this year and more pass rush opportunities than Rashan Gary right now. Lucas Van Ness at the pace that he was at would have basically like doubled what Rashan Gary did. He's not doing well right now at all. He's just not. And especially the way that this teams are attacking this Packers defense. So much of it is just get the ball out quick. It's not full field progressions, all that stuff. If you're not creating pressure quickly, it doesn't really matter because everyone is trying to get the ball out instantly. So if you can't do that, it's not looking good for you in this Micah Parsons world.
Heck, even Micah's getting these super quick pressures and the ball is still getting out before he gets there. And he's getting
double teamed.
He's getting double teamed, getting there in like 2.5 seconds, and the ball's still out in like 2 seconds in a lot of scenarios where I've seen too. So yeah, it matters. And like the other thing would be too, if like if Micah was getting there quickly and like Devontae and Wooden and Gary were like collapsing the pocket into you basically like the other side or whatever, like, bull rushing and just kind of collapsing it around. Okay. Like I could maybe live with that a little bit more, but that's not exactly what's happening either. It right now just feels like Micah or bust, and you're not seeing a cohesive defensive front where there's a pocket collapsing or everything's breaking down. It's Micah getting pressure, and then the ability for either the quarterback's already got the ball out, or the ability to step up in the pocket, find a check down, and or throw the ball away.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen people kind of bring up that theory too, where they're like, well, what if they're like slow playing it so they capture the quarterback after Mike? And I'm like, okay, then why did Jalen Hurts run around the corner on him a weekend ago? Like, do we just forget what we've seen recently? And I understand he's got a bunch of the cleanup sacks and stuff like that. Good for him. And that's going to look great in the stat book, but I don't think it's impacting games very much. Sorry.
No, I don't either. I think, and I'll be clear, I don't think Rashan Gary's playing bad football. I just think it's not to the level that you need it to be for where he's at.
Yeah, he's just making a ton of money.
Yes.
And he's not playing that many snaps. And when he is playing snaps, he's not being very productive as a pass rusher. And that's what you paid him for in the first place. So yeah, I mean, he's not terrible. He's still an NFL player. He would start for other teams, but it's not great right now. I mean, Enagbare isn't doing great either. LVN's doing a little bit better, and then he gets the added benefit of like he really is a difference maker when he kicks inside and can do some of that interior pressure stuff. Gary just doesn't do any of that.
Yeah. Yep. No, they need to just get him. He needs wins, like, with a little bit more immediacy, and that hasn't been happening. Like you said, worse than anyone else in the league, basically. And it was interesting to see Enagbare get one more snap. And that's the other thing too, of like, I don't really care if he plays like one fewer snap than Enagbare, but then man, you better come in and play a really good brand of football and be like rested and ready to dominate. That hasn't exactly happened either.
Yeah, there's designated pass rushers around the league that like they don't play Max Crosby snaps. They don't play Aiden Hutchinson snaps. They don't play Myles Garrett snaps, Micah Parsons snaps. But they're difference makers when they're out there, and we're not. The juice isn't worth the squeeze right now.
It is.
That's what's scary.
Yes, very much so. That's. I know, you and Ken and others, and I've talked about it in the past too. But like my tweet after the game this week is, I'm like that. The Rashan Gary 2026 conversation is about to heat up really quick, and then all of a sudden, I know like. I think either Hirschhorn or Bukowski had an article on it. I think there was another. I think you guys maybe had an article on it, and then like.
Well, I've kind of posted about it like last week a little bit, and then I just like updated the stats.
Gotcha.
But I put them on Twitter, and it just kind of caught fire on Twitter. But, I mean, it's been going on for a while. It's not good. It's a lot of money, guys. It's a lot of money. If they can get off that contract, I think right now, if things don't change. And the first half of the season looks like the second half of the season. If they can get off that contract for a pick, I think that they would do it. They would free up the cap space to be able to do stuff like give the Tucker Kraft extension, rework the Devontae Wyatt contract, maybe potentially sign one of these like $3 million free agent type of guys, right? As filler. Maybe you give that $3 million contract to like Kingsley, right? And you say, okay, we like that, and then we'll take the pick, and then that's also extra cap space in 2027. Maybe we get off the Banks contract. Maybe we get off the Hobbs contract. Oh, now we're in a position where we can actually kind of leverage this roster if we want to put, the Parsons, the Love deal on credit cards, create more cap space, actually go into the free agent market. And also we have like 10 draft picks now with the comp picks and the Gary trade, right? So like that's the kind of scenario I think people view as like the stopping of aggression in free agency in like 26 means that like the door has then slammed and it is like a 1-year window, and it's way more of like a push, a recalibration, and then the final push, and then it's burn the boats. Like it's gonna decay pretty quickly after 27. But if you're conservative in 26, it'll decay at a smaller rate, a slower rate, I guess I should say.
Looking at Tankathon, Packers currently set for pick 56 in the second round right now.
Yeah, we have 2 in the top 120, right?
Oh boy. Oy vey.
I think so. We have 2 in the top 120, and that's why people are like, well, in the draft, we're going to be able to add a cornerback, a starting defensive tackle, 2 starting offensive linemen. And I'm like,
yeah, you have to have one of the great drafts of all time if you're gonna pick. Yeah, yeah. They had a lot of picks this year, and right now you're getting 15 snaps out of Golden. You're getting a nice 30-yard reception out of Savion Williams. You're getting nothing out of Belton. You're getting about 10 snaps per game from Baron Sorrell. Brinson's playing about, I don't know, 8 snaps here or there, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Colin Oliver's out. John Williams is out. Who am I missing? Anybody?
No, because Micah's gone, right? So
yeah, Micah Robinson is gone. Yeah, I think that's yeah, that's everyone. So yeah, you just had a full helping of draft picks, and that you're not getting a ton of 2025 impacts from it.
Yeah.
What can you do? You did speaking of, well, not speaking of Micah, but his position, Micah Robinson. You did have an interesting article on the Packers cornerbacks and if they're actually underrated. Justis, lead the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing that we've talked about for a couple of weeks now, where it's like, do we have a corner problem or do we have a Nate Hobbs problem? Right? Because Nate Hobbs is the one who's actually playing below average. If you look at yards allowed per coverage snap, which is like basically the holy grail for outside corners, right? It's the most consistent stat that you could look at, which is how you should evaluate all these stats. Is how easy is it to predict future success based off of past success, right? In it, Carrington Valentine ranks like 20th in the NFL, and Keyshawn Nixon is like 34th. So Carrington Valentine is firmly in a CB1 tier, right? Even if it is an average CB1. And then Keyshawn Nixon is right there on the borderline of a CB1, CB2. What that doesn't include is penalties. Keyshawn obviously is getting some penalties, right? So that's not thrown into there. I didn't include it just because I don't know where guys are lining up for those penalties. I don't have a database that I can access that to.
Sure.
So I can't do, hey, were they in the outside corner or were they in the slot when that happened? Because I really just want to do apples to apples comparisons. And then Nate Hobbs is like, I think something like 56th or something like that out of like 69 qualifiers. So yeah, it's looking a lot more like Keyshawn and Carrington Valentine are for the most part fine. And it really was a Hobbs issue.
Not that this is everything either. PFF, Carrington Valentine, 5th corner in the end, actually tied for 5th with Trent McDuffie, and Keyshawn Nixon, 29th rated corner.
And that's with all the penalties too.
Yes.
That's tied with all the penalties graded.
Basically tied with Pat Surtain, the second, which is pretty good company to be in.
Do they want to trade? I'll lock it in right now. Do you want to trade Keyshawn Nixon for Pat Surtain?
You can do this one too. Javon Bullard's 41, tied with Christian Gonzalez too. So basically we have Patrick Surtain, Christian Gonzalez, and Trent McDuffie is our starting cornerback trio is basically what this is saying.
Andy, want to know a fun fact this week?
Yes.
Remember how I told you Javon Bullard got 2 series as a 4-3 safety against the Panthers?
And they allowed touchdowns?
We allowed touchdowns on those 2 drives and only those 2 drives. In this Giants game, Javon Bullard came in as a 4-3 safety one time, and we gave up a touchdown that one time. I don't need Evan Williams
off the field.
I don't you could play him in the slot all you want. I still have questions about whether you actually want him in man coverage against some of these teams. Like if Amon-Ra St. Brown is lined up against him, you have a man call. That's a bad idea. We've seen that that's a bad idea, right? That's maybe where the Nate Hobbs stuff starts coming into play. But if you want him to be, play 80% of your slot snaps, I am totally fine with Javon Bullard doing that. Why is Evan Williams ever off the field? He got the interception at the end of the damn game.
And I love Javon Bullard. I'm a huge Javon Bullard guy. I am, I might captain the Javon Bullard ship. I'm
a bigger Evan Williams guy.
Yeah, same thing.
Yes,
a million percent the same thing.
I can like Javon Bullard. I'm a bigger Evan Williams guy. He should never be off the field.
Ever. I'll talk about this again on my grades article this week. If anyone has the chance, it's been all season, but last week against the Giants one was for sure. And then what was the week? The Eagles. Go watch the Eagles game, watch the Giants game. He is around the ball on every damn play. Like, it is for better or worse sometimes, but like sometimes he's obviously, he's given up a completion here, there, whatever, but like he is always, and I mean always around the ball. Like, you could put a cut up, like even if he doesn't quite get there in time, like there'll be a tackle and then you like look right next to it, there's Evan Williams. Or like you'll see like like somebody making a tackle and then like Evan Williams is like around the ankle somewhere. Like every play he is around at a level that I don't know that I have seen maybe since like Woodson or something like that. Like, it is remarkable how many plays that he gets involved in, just flying around from everywhere. I love Evan Williams.
Yeah, he gets pretty aggressive too when they're holding their 2 shell and then post snap they're rotating into cover 3 or something like that, and he's just coming into the box screaming against a run play, and you're like, this dude is. I don't think he knows he can get hurt. Like, he might change his mentality after he breaks his collarbone or something like that one time. But for right now, he is fearless. He doesn't look like he realizes the damages of an NFL football field right now.
It's going to take one collision with like a Derrick Henry doing the same stuff to be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. But it's that's the tough part about it. Sometimes, like, this isn't apples to apples, but Ja used to have a level of tenacity to him where he would kind of get constantly involved. Not to that extent, but like he would get scrappy and involved in plays, and then shoulder injury, and that died really, really fast. Like overnight, like there was an overnight realization of like, I'm just going to cover from now on. I don't need to do that again. And he was a totally different player from that point forward. So that's a tough part sometimes.
Yep.
Just really quick to wrap up defense. I've talked to a lot of people this week. A lot of people have asked me the same thing. It's a really interesting Rorschach test of this Giants game of like allowing 20 points, 200 yards for Winston, no touchdown and a pick, 3.77 yards per carry on the ground. Their leading receiver had like 50 yards receiving. You had technically 2 turnovers, 2 sacks. You had a big 4th down stop. It's a really bad team with like everybody missing. You're on the road. So like there's all these different factors. Was this a good performance by the defense? Yes or no?
No, because you didn't come down with picks. Because I think you have to hold that standard. Because what this whole game was on the Giants offense versus Packers defense side was both sides waiting for the other side to make a mistake. And the Packers never really made those mistakes that allowed the explosive plays downfield. But when the Giants made their mistakes, which was obviously going to be Jameis Winston putting the ball into peril, the Packers didn't come down with it. And that's why they ended up being on the field for so long. I mean, So no, I mean, they got to play better. If you're throwing 4 interceptions, you have to come down with one, more than one.
Yeah, five interceptions and only coming down with 1. Yeah,
it was 4 dropped. Yeah.
4 dropped, 1 caught. Yeah.
Well, the McDuffie one, McDuffie didn't have to hit stick him. I don't know about that one, and then the was it the Keyshawn one where it was him and McKinney, and it was looking like outfielders like converging. You know what I mean? Like neither one of them knew who was supposed to get it
today. McKinney talked about that there was like offensive pass interference. If you look at it, like the very last second, I think it's Hyatt gives him a shove in the back, and it almost like forces him like into Nixon a little bit more. I've kind of talked this week of like McDuffie of like, all right, he's aggressively going towards the ball to the player, which is what you want. And then he sees the ball in the air and he's like, kind of, I think just sees it and goes towards the ball. I've watched it now on all 22 a few different times, and that's a tough one to defend. I don't know.
He truck sticked his buddy.
Yeah, he did. And I'm sure in the heat of the moment, again, he's looking at player, then ball, and then all of a sudden it's a collision. But like, my God, like it really looked like I don't know. That was just a really weird moment.
That's our mic next year, by the way, if we don't pay Quay. For the people who I know are in the comment section right now being like, $15 million a year? No way. Guys, we have
2 draft picks in the top 120, please.
And no free agency money. And
please.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. I think Quay will be back. I'd be pretty surprised at this point if he wasn't. I guess the other thing, I know I've seen a lot of people calling for Hopper over McDuffie. Do you have a preference?
I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're
green
gonna.
dot. Yeah. I don't think so either. And I
just don't think that they're gonna do it. I think it would have been interesting. I think we talked about this in the summer where I was like, based off of what I saw in the preseason, I was like, if you're going to have anyone push McDuffie for those linebacker 3 snaps, it shouldn't have been Isaiah Simmons. It should have been Tyron Hopper. He clearly took that next step. So I don't mind it. Like, I get the line of thinking, but I think people are overrating how much work goes into like position battles in season, and it's not just like game planning and making sure that you're getting scout team looks and stuff like that during the week. That should have been something you did in training camp.
Yeah,
which is again why I was surprised about the Belton thing that Buckus mentioned earlier. I was like, oh, he is getting guard reps, and they did just start doing that in the season. That's pretty crazy.
Interesting. Yep, noteworthy to say the least. Anything on the injury report stand out to you?
Bullard's on there with an ankle. That's new. Outside of that, I mean, you ever hear of this Josh Jacobs guy? Heard he's a pretty big deal. Like the other stuff, people for the most part know about. I just thought it was interesting about the ankle. It's something that I'd pay attention to because that's like really the only new injury that we didn't know about already.
Yeah.
On the Viking side, Fries, I believe, Will Fries.
Yep.
He's their right guard. They paid him a bunch of money this offseason. I think that deal actually offset the comp pick that they would have gotten for Daniel Jones. So yeah, bozos. They pissed away a 4th-round pick for nothing. Gosh, man, don't be that team.
Yeah.
Don't. You want the comp picks, guys. That's how the Ravens are built. All these other teams that you guys say that you guys want to be like. So he's banged up. He was an estimated out because I don't even think that they had a practice. Like it didn't even say at the bottom that it was a walkthrough. It was just like they did not have a practice today. Which I thought
did not have an official practice, so participation is an estimation. Yep.
Right. And usually if it's a walkthrough, it says walkthrough.
Yeah.
And that's for us and them. It usually says that.
It was a practice for JJ McCarthy only. Just JJ McCarthy on air was the only one that was practicing.
Was it JJ or was it not? We can get into that.
It was not. It's tough to say.
And then Jonathan Grenard, one of their pass rushers, another guy that they paid a lot of money, not this past offseason, but the offseason before. He's also out. So something to watch out for there. They might be a little bit short on the line of scrimmage.
And then Ryan Kelly coming back from he's got the 21-day practice window open. He was listed as a likely full participant coming back from the concussion. He would be a big addition to their offensive line at center, especially if Fries is out too. So that's the other one too. And then just going back to the Packers, Carl Brooks, not a participant.
Yes, that was the other. Yeah, when the heck did that happen?
Yeah, he went out of the game for a little bit. He was down on the ground for a little bit. They didn't make mention of it on the actual game, but he goes down. But he did come back and play in the game. Yeah. So usually when you come back and play, I'm thinking like, well, you're probably going to be limited. But he was a non-participant, so that's another one to keep an eye on.
Well, they have 5 on the roster. They seem to like Stackhouse. Stackhouse played more than Brinson in this one, which is the first time that he's done that when they've had them both up at the same time. Yep. That's really the only – I mean, we already talked about the Gary thing. We talked about the tight ends. That's the only other interesting thing I think I got from like a depth chart standpoint. So, yeah, I mean, that's another one to watch throughout the week. I mean, the Jacobs one is going to be big to me too. I mean, we talked about I don't understand the Emmanuel Wilson third down stuff instead of Chris Brooks last week. This week I'm seeing people being like Ewing theory, Josh Jacobs stuff, where they're like, how good even is he? I'm like, dude, are you guys kidding me? We just played the Giants. Like, they're the worst run defense in football. Josh Jacobs is a very good running back. Almost all of his yards are after contact this year. I am not on the boat of this team is going to be better without Josh Jacobs. I would like to put myself out there and stand on a limb saying that, because for some reason that is like circulating.
Yeah, some of the stuff that gets thrown around sometimes is the most absurd stuff of like, is Josh Jacobs actually good? Yeah, Josh Jacobs is actually good.
I also think this, could be a sneaky Chris Brooks week because we haven't played a lot of these blitzing teams, and
it should be.
He should be out there, picking up Van Ginkel or whoever is blitzing.
I don't care if Jacobs is healthy enough to play on obvious third and passing situations. Chris Brooks should be in the game in this game.
It should be the Lions game plan all over again, where it's like, no, if we're blocking him up, Brooks is in the game.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree. Just really quick before we get to Packers Vikings and any other notes on that, I got a random one for you. Is there anyone, since we're on the topic of, names circulating that aren't actually good, but are actually very good at football, like Josh Jacobs, is there anyone out there, offense, defense, I'll let you go in any direction? Maybe there doesn't have to be anyone that you think is playing better or worse than what the consensus is or what the seeming consensus is out there for the Packers?
I already brought out the Keyshawn Cape. I would have to. So someone who's sneaky playing worse, Edgerrin Cooper.
Interesting.
I know everyone loves him. I just think he's been a lot shakier this year. Like, not just in terms of like some of the tackling on the perimeter, but we've given up a bunch of yards at the linebacker position. That's not just Cooper. Quay's had some mix up. There was one in this game where Jameis is throwing a glance behind him, and they're both covering the hook flat, or the hook, not the flat.
Yep.
But Quay is supposed to be playing the pole runner,
deep center,
and yeah, he's supposed to be playing the pole runner in Tampa 2, which is basically like the middle of the field safety type of thing. And it splits like this, and there's one linebacker over here and two over here, and it's just throw right down the middle. And
easiest throw you could possibly
imagine. Quay, no, you've been better this year. Where the hell did this come from, dude? Yeah,
the weird thing is, like, again, Cooper had it. Cooper had that play to make, and so he just had to stay in his zone. He just got over aggressive for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah. So the linebackers are a little frustrating in the passing game. I think both of them have a little bit of a share in that. And then Cooper, he was really, really, really good his rookie year. Yeah. And I just think that some of that, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is. I guess that perception has just kind of rolled over into this year, and he hasn't had these big mistakes that people realize that he's not playing at the same type of level. But to me, he's taken a little bit of a sophomore dip for sure.
You haven't seen the impact plays for sure. And he had that opportunity to get off the field with the tackle on the screen pass, missed that one.
Don't hurt.
There's a few plays too, whether it's just, again, positioning, alignment, some things like that are just a little bit off this year. Doesn't feel like he's triggering quite as fast in some things. It's just, I don't think it's bad, but it's not, again, I would agree with you to the level that it was a year ago.
Yeah. And I think both of the linebackers are dealing with injuries too, right? Popping up on the injury report for the same injury at the start of the week every week now.
Yeah.
So I think they're just fighting through stuff. Yeah. I think it's football, baby. You're going to it's mid-November after you've played 11 weeks of NFL football. Guys are going to be banged up and pushing through.
All right, Packers, Vikings, final thoughts. What are you looking forward to? What are you keeping an extra eye on this week? We talked about some of it already.
God, this quarterback.
Yeah, we haven't really touched on that.
Oh my God, dude. I am so excited. So excited to get
how's their buddy Thor doing? Because he was pretty all in on the JJ McCarthy, as all in as you could possibly be on the JJ McCarthy train.
I don't know. I'm gonna record with the Reef tomorrow. And I have lists of things that I need to bring up with him. I have the JJ McCarthy's quarterback coach had to put out an apology statement to Chris Carter earlier.
It's not his current quarterback coach, is it? Was this his college quarterback coach, or is it his current quarterback?
No,
coach?
It's his trainer, his
it was okay.
Private trainer. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. So no, this is gonna be so fun, dude. This kid is not an NFL quarterback, and I think that they knew that this offseason. I don't think that there's alignment in that building, because that's what I've been told this entire offseason. I told you about this a little bit a couple months ago, and I was like, pay attention to this JJ McCarthy thing, because there are people, they're
many people in that building that wanted Aaron Rodgers. And there were many people who wanted the JJ McCarthy experience to play out, which I kind of understand because they like don't have any picks. They don't have much cap space. Like they're not in a good spot to sort of like reload this thing. It would have kind of been a 1 year for Aaron Rodgers and then let this thing burn to the ground type of situation.
Yeah.
But I think that because of how loud this stuff has gotten, I think there's going to be a lot of finger pointing, and the fact that it hasn't gone well, like I could easily see like whatever Diana Rossini, Don Van Natta, whatever feature week 17, the morning of that game, being like, here are all the crazy things that happened in Minnesota this year and why they don't like each other. So I love this moment that we're in with Vikings fans right now, especially when they thought that they were going to have their little Tebow Mania thing and they end up losing to the Chicago Bears at the last moment.
Yep.
They already created this alternative personality for JJ McCarthy, 9, right? And rode with that, and that has already crashed into the ground. I'm so happy. This is what's giving me life for this game. I think it's going to be a mess, man. You look at what they did last game. If you look at what they did in the first half and what they did in the second half, they basically abandoned the passing game on first and second downs in the second half of that game against Chicago. Dude, they know he's not the guy.
Yep.
This is going to get goofy down the stretch. If we lose to this team, I think I'd be way more disappointed than losing to Jameis, for sure.
It would be one of the biggest, like it would be up there with Cleveland for me, for sure. Like
I'm back onto Matt hot seat if we lose this game.
It's funny because the line got put out and it's like Packers by 6.5, and everyone's like, "What? How could the Packers?" I'm like, "Have you haven't been watching Minnesota? You've not been watching Minnesota."
Every chart right now is a JJ McCarthy chart. Every single one of them, and it's so good. We got people blaming KOC, who made it work with. He's made it work with everyone. He's made it work with everyone other than this guy. There's a couple people, not that many, a couple of them, who are blaming Justin Jefferson for some of this stuff. It's amazing.
It's incredible.
Extend Kwesi forever. Keep JJ McCarthy. Yeah, fire KOC.
Fire O'Connell. Yeah.
Yeah, fire O'Connell. Fire Flores.
Get Flores out of there for sure. Yes.
Yeah. I ride with 9. #skull. Dude, this is I love it. We should undress him on Sunday. He's not an NFL quarterback.
Yeah. This should be Green Bay's signature win. I mean, not signature in the fact that like it's a big win, but like this should be their double-digit win this year. It really should be. Hopefully they can do it.
The worst quarterback we've faced this year. I'd take Jacoby over him. I'd take Jameis over him. I'd take Flacco over him.
Bryce Young, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's the worst starting quarterback. I mean, if we face,
I guess fair.
Yeah. I mean, he's the worst starting quarterback in the league. So it's
if you want to get into shock jock stuff, there's a guy in Cleveland right now who's about to make a start.
That would be the other one. But they, obviously Green Bay played Flacco when they played Cleveland, so a little bit different.
We didn't get the Baltimore Ravens guys when they were trotting out whoever, like Cooper Rush or whatever. So
no, that would have been nice too. Maybe we still will, but yeah, I have a feeling we're going to get prime Lamar at that point. It is funny though. You mentioned the charts for McCarthy. Usually when you see a dot that far in like the low corner or whatever, it's like that was like a 2-game sample size or like a 1-game sample size. It's like, no, not this one.
Dude. The ankle injury.
Oh yeah.
Healthy enough to be your emergency quarterback.
Number 3 quarterback.
He's jumping up and down on the sidelines. And they're like, it's the ankle injury. They're like, maybe a couple more weeks. And then like Wentz is just completely broken. And they're like, my God, we're going to have to play JJ McCarthy.
Well, the funniest thing was like the McCarthy thing was always, okay, even if it's not a soft benching, I was saying like, you do realize if McCarthy was amazing, he's back in the game a couple weeks prior to that. Like, you are putting him out there. He's your franchise guy. Like,
Wentz was like dying in like an international game.
Dead in one of those games. He was half dead in one of those games, and they're still like, no, that's who we want in there. I will officially state we will get a Max Brosmer start before the end of the year. We will definitely get a Max Brosmer start before the end of the year is my prediction.
All right. This will be fun. I have a text.
Oh,
from a guy in the league. Oh, this was a very hot take still at the time. This was when all the Caleb Williams stuff was coming out.
Okay.
If you remember that. It was August 30th at 8:36 a.m. I get a text from a guy in the league. Who starts first this season? Max Brosmer, Tyrod Taylor, or Tyson Bagent. So that tells you kind of what league circles are hearing a little bit about.
So the right answer was Tyrod Taylor, and then the
right
next
answer was Tyrod.
The next answer will be Brosmer, and we won't see Bagent barring an injury this year.
No.
Yeah, but
jumped the shark on that one. But
if that might be anyone besides Ben Johnson, that might be more of a fun, interesting situation with Caleb. I think Ben's helped. Caleb's been mostly fine. I don't think there's. And I shouldn't even speak on it. I haven't watched enough of him to say one way or the other.
He missed a couple of throws last week, but he also hit a couple of. He's going to be all right.
Yeah,
he's going to be all right. Unfortunately,
I think so too. Justis, I think we're going to be able to break it down next week. We might have some Thanksgiving issues, but we'll definitely talk again very, very soon. Promote whatever you'd like to promote, my friend.
APC. Go check that out. Writing about so many things there. A hell of a pitch from me. Frozen Tundra Frequencies, I usually go on after the game there. I don't know what the like. I might record with Andy before I do the Frozen Tundra Frequencies this week because of just the way all the scheduling ends up working out and all the travel for holidays and stuff. So that's that. And then I wanted to plug one more thing. Oh, go on my Twitter on Friday. I'll try to pin it. The conversation that I'll have with Arif, because I'm really going to try to get under his skin with this JJ McCarthy stuff. If he doesn't hang up on me, I haven't done my job. I haven't done my job. I'm just trying to piss him off.
Okay, I have one final question for you, and then we'll get out of here. The starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings in Week 1 next year is blank.
Someone from this Mac Jones?
That's who my answer would be as well.
Yeah.
I think Mac Jones.
Who's in the system? I was like, Mariota's technically done it. I'm like, they're not going to go for Mariota. Mac Jones. I mean, that makes a decent amount of sense.
It does to me too. I think unless it's Brosmer and like all of a sudden he plays like 2 games this year and he looks incredible, pulls a.
I still haven't seen the kid play.
Yeah. In preseason, he looked pretty good. He looked pretty dang good in preseason. Doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot though. So yeah, I would say Mac Jones makes a ton of sense too. It'd be interesting. I think San Fran would be willing to do it for the right price still. I don't think they'd be super scared.
Is he on a contract for multiple years?
He's got one more. I'm almost positive. I think he's got one more.
Trade the damn pick, man. Yeah, send the 5th or whatever.
Yeah, he signed a 2-year, $8.4 million deal with the 49ers. So he's under contract next year. Base salary
4.5?
2.8 million is the base salary. So with
trade a 4th for it.
Yeah, you're going to get like a $3 million contract for it.
Yeah. Maybe even trade a 3rd for it at that
point. I think it might take something like that. Other teams could easily be. It depends on what happens in Pittsburgh with Aaron. What happens in Cleveland.
I don't want Aaron in Minnesota.
I don't think he will. I think he just stays in Pittsburgh, right? If he plays another year. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah. I mean, I do think he was interested in getting back into the system. But Arthur Smith coached with LaFleur, so it's not that different. But
I do think that there's a non-zero. Like I talked about it last year of like, hey, the Aaron makes sense for Minnesota, and everyone's like, no, it's not going to happen. The Aaron Minnesota thing is not an impossibility, I don't think, in 2026 either. Like it would be the ultimate, just like another Favre Rodgers in this crazy quest thing. But
I'd rather not.
Yeah, me neither.
I'd rather not.
But it's not. I don't think it's going to be off the table at all, unless Rodgers just like completely undone. which you know how quick he is at making decisions right away in the offseason. I'm sure there's not going to be any flirtation with any other teams and if some team, like if Minnesota would go all in on Aaron and they're like aggressive and they're like, you're our guy, you're our savior.
God, dude, with Jordan Addison and Justin
Aaron
Jefferson.
Jones. We're going to bring Aaron Jones back. Who else do you want?
You got tackles. Yeah. No, thank you.
I don't need the KOC.
Mac
Somehow
Jones,
Brian
Aaron
Flores
Rodgers
is still there. Gosh dang, no.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Aaron, just get healthy this week. I need you to beat the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, you still own the Bears. You just own the Bears this week. That would be
I don't need
very
Mason Rudolph. I need the Bears to lose some football games. Here's your quick playoff. Here's how we can end this quick playoff outlook.
Okay.
The way the NFC is looking right now, you have 3 teams that have over a 90% chance to make the postseason. It is the Seahawks, it is the Rams, and it is the Philadelphia Eagles. An NFC South team has to make the playoffs.
Yep.
Okay. Outside of that, there's basically 4 teams fighting for 3 spots in the postseason. So that's really, if you're a Packers fan, that's really what you care about.
Yep.
All you need to do is not be the worst of the 4 teams to finish the year, because they're all basically the same, win-loss. It is the Packers, it is the Lions, it is the Bears, and it is the San Francisco 49ers. Do not finish fourth of those in that race of 4. So we're rooting against the Bears if we weren't already for some reason at every opportunity. Aaron, I need you to get healthy. I do not need Mason Rudolph to give the Bears another lucky win.
The 49ers have a much easier schedule than the teams in the NFC North as well, which is worth noting. I looked it up as well. The next 3 games against the NFC North, which obviously the Vikings is, less of a playoff opponent type thing, but obviously the Lions and the Bears are. Next 3 games in the NFC North, if they go 3-0 per the New York Times simulator, they have a 97% chance to make the playoffs. If they go 2-1, about an 80% chance to make the playoffs. If they go 1-2, it's about a 50% chance to make the playoffs. If they go 0-3, it's a 19% chance to make the playoffs. So keep it at 2-1 in these next 3 games, please, as well. 3-0 would be great.
Yes. Win your games.
Win your damn games. Follow him at JUMOSQ on social media, acmepackingcompany.com. You can find me at Andy Herman NFL. That's going to do it for Justis and I today. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.